Nothing in your life or world has gone wrong. I know those words may not make sense, and you might look at your life now and look at our world and think everything has gone wrong. And I can tell you that's not the case. What is happening is that the world is just waiting for you to become magnificent. The world is waiting for you to own yourself and to discover why you were born, why you're on the earth now, because it was for a very good reason. Nothing happens accidentally in our lives or in the world. It's just that we come to figure it out at different times. I mean, as humans, as civilization, we figure out what is happening. How do we live a better life? How do we create a better world? How do we do all of those things? Well, I was given that plan, and that's what I'm doing. That's what my life was meant to do, was to help you live the best life ever, because then we would create this really wonderful world. Because we're moving through a great transition now, and that is all the information that I've been given from Wilhelm. And that made no sense to me, as your life path might not have made sense, but it could be yelling at you right now. That's what happens when we move through our lives and we resist becoming who we're meant to become, because everybody has that. Then we suffer in all kinds of ways. We don't have we don't have any peace, number one, because we're always anxious. We don't have any confidence. We're like worried. We're afraid. And we probably don't have abundance either, because we're keeping it away from us, because we're refusing to accept ourselves or why we were born. Because I happen to know that every person was born with worth and promise and all of that. But me accepting that was really difficult as well, because it came about a different way. We know that when we come into the world, we all evolve and grow the same way. We just use our brains, our consciousness. But it's been shaped and it's been formed in different ways. And our collective consciousness has been formed as well. So my life was meant to change that. And so Wilhelm said, we're going to give you a new philosophy. Problem will be, a lot of people won't believe that, though, even though I will sit and say, wait a minute, no, it really changes your life. But I'm going to give you some things, because I know it's difficult. I couldn't believe it either, which is why I'm talking about it now, because I have to get out of my own way, because I have a lot of work to do. So do you. That's why you are here. So today there is a message on my site, on Any Advice for Today, that says that nothing in your life or your world, nothing's gone wrong. It's just that you understand how to navigate through whatever might be in front of you to find your genius, to find your success. It's all there. It's within you, and I do know that. Now let me show you this, though, because I have a few things that I'm going to give you. And also, I'm doing a channeling session on Sunday. It's a full moon, and it's a powerful one, and it's the time that we're going to all change. And we're going to change in grand ways if you are willing to love yourself. That's really what it is for all of us. We have to get out of our way and move through those barriers and begin to love ourselves. But it's a process. Well, and that process happens over time, over linear time as we live. My Wilhelm didn't do that. He said, no, everything is happening now, but we don't accept that. So when I was given information, it was over year and year and year. And so now, at 74, I can say it all worked because I'm healed beyond ways that I couldn't explain either. And you might have something like that within you, but you won't discover it unless you are willing to move and open up to who you are and who you can become, because that's always in front of you. But here is this message, and I'm going to show you something else. So I did a couple things. When I put this up, I also made a link there so you can take it with you, because Wilhelm said they wanted to show us how over years we might accept something and then integrate it into our being or in our collective consciousness and then start to live it. But anyway, you can go through all of this, and it will take you through a little journey. And it starts here in 2011, because they just wanted to show that there were certain years, certain things that you would understand. There's nothing, and this first one, and you'll go through each one and you'll see that there's an alignment there. There's nothing more vital for you during your physical life experience than your purpose. everyone has a purpose. We keep walking around thinking we don't have it, but the fact is you're just not willing to discover it. That's what it is, because you have to do something to get there. Then just every single message will show you how we will move through this process of not really understanding what we've been given or what have come through many, many years ago. So as you read through all of these, you will understand so much more about what it will do to change your brain. We each will experience ourselves in our consciousness. There is a universal consciousness, and that's what I tapped into. This is why this work resonates with so many, and I didn't know that was happening because I was just receiving it. That's just another level of consciousness that we all come to understand. Okay, so when you go through each one, you will see that it will help you so much. Here, the 2014. Doubt is one of the most emotional experiences that you can use to either halt or accelerate your expansion. That means, and I can talk about it now because I know it, you're going to have doubt about doing something, and then you're going to sit there and you're going to never move because that doubt is going to just halt you. Or you're going to decide that the doubt is too uncomfortable, and so you have to do something to get rid of it, which is exactly what I'm doing now. Because for years and years, I doubted that I had all of this. But now I know, and I know what you have as well. So I'm going to show you something else that will have this all make sense. But anyway, you go down here, and you'll see everything is a gradual kind of understanding of who you are. Here, low self-esteem is always an inside job. That means we're doing it to ourselves. But that also means that it could have been taught to us. So to get rid of it, we've got to do something to change our own programming. That's all. And this one is giving a little story about something that I went through about anger. And you'll see we will have that. And the anger that you will experience will mostly be at yourself. You think it's about everyone else? It's about you because you're not moving. You're hearing something and you're not doing it. You'll hear all of that in the video as well. And if you could remember nothing else throughout your life, this sentence might be the most beneficial. Abundance and being yourself are the same thing. It's sometimes hard for us to do that. We don't get there because we have to break down the barriers, and sometimes it takes years. And so this will help you so much to understand that because that's what I'm giving to you. But then at the bottom, you will see that there is a channeling session that was done December 4th of 2021, and it's called The Purpose of Your Life. Now, if any of you might have been there or heard it, it might not have made much sense to you then. However, if you listen to it today, it will make so much sense. Wilhelm always gives me things in advance because, again, it's not linear time, and I did not understand that or did not know it, which brings me to something else that I want to explain to everyone because I am still figuring it out, and that is this little ability that I just discovered that I had developed. You will discover new things about yourself as well, but I'm going to show it to you because it explains so much more. But I'm doing it because also I want us to all know we're never done with developing something when we live, but because sometimes it can be outside of what was known, we don't trust it. The only difficulty you will have is your self-belief. And I know that so well because I couldn't believe I had done this. But every single person born is meant to do something, and you're not going to necessarily believe it because nobody's done it before. That's what happens. But now we have technology that can give us a little more validation, because that's the other thing, that the only thing you're looking for is validation. Who am I? Is this real? Is this what? And it is. And I know that when I'm channeling, I'm connecting with you from a different level of consciousness, and that's why I can answer all the questions. You'll hear that in the video as well. But the fact is, you have the ability to access higher dimensions of consciousness, and the more of us who do that, then things start to change. But the thing that I discovered, and I have links in the video, I want you to have them because they will help you. Wilhelm would give me messages on a particular date throughout years, the same date. I go, why is that happening? And then I started discovering that if I were to, they told me this too, if I were to meet with someone, I would have a message on their birthday in 2012. There was an organization of energies, and so somehow I was receiving that information, and it will align with who they are and what they're meant to be doing in the world now. I doubted all of that until it started showing up, and I'm meeting with people, and that's what was going on. And then we could go to specific years in their lives and say, oh, wow, that's what was going on there. I could never have explained that or talked about it because it didn't make sense, but now it is something that I'm devoting my life to. What's happened is, as I've been discovering this, I've been not living up to what I'm meant to do with so many different things. People, I've been on interviews, I've done so many things. I didn't know how I got there. I didn't know how this happened. You have the same thing. We all have these gifts within us are just waiting to open up if we become vulnerable enough to see them and if we stop being afraid. And I was afraid all of my life. I talked about it. That's why I wrote the book. But now let me show you this, because this will probably help you understand a bit more. And I have other links in the video description that'll give you just things to just work with your brain. Everything is mindset. That's all. And so just changing your mindset gets you to open up to greater dimensions of who you are. So this is the other thing that I wanted to show you. We never know who we're going to become when we live, and you must stay open to it's open-ended, meaning that we can become many more people because we have unlimited potential. But what happened was, and you may hear this in some of the Wilhelm conversations, they would say that my purpose was to bring together science, spirituality, and human potential, which has obviously been demonstrated in the healing that I've experienced, but I needed to understand it more because all of the cycles that I would receive, or the patterns, and I'm leaving so many of them in the description of the video so you can have that. But it says, and so I found this Metonic cycle and lunar phases reflect the precise, measurable rhythms of the cosmos. These astronomical patterns illustrate the natural laws governing our universe, providing a scientific framework for understanding time, cycles, and energy. In spirituality, the astrological significance of February 19th, 1989, and its alignment with your natal chart highlights the spiritual dimension of these cycles. Astrology bridges the seen and unseen, offering insights into the soul's purpose and divine timing. Marriage of the two. Wilhelm's messages received on a day of profound cosmic alignment exemplify how spiritual insight can be supported and contextualized by scientific patterns, demonstrating the harmony between these domains, human potential, cycles of growth. Your work with Wilhelm has always emphasized the evolution of human potential through self-awareness, alignment with universal rhythms, practical transformation. That's why they gave it everything on days. Anyway, this is it. And so the 19-year cycle. Yesterday, or actually, yeah, it was today. I found a video. I'll share a link in here so you can see it. I saw that and it said 19-year cycle, huh? 2005 is when I had the awakening of the dream that I had, and you've probably had these times where something very vivid happened to you. You just thought, this is what I'm supposed to do. I had that in 2005. It's in a video. I will leave a link to that so you can see it. It's been shown several times because I waited for years before I would even write it, because I couldn't tell people this is who I was because it didn't make sense to me. Same thing for you. We always have these things that we're supposed to do that we don't believe, and that's the only difficulty that we will ever have, because we are unlimited beings. So I just created a pathway for you to get there. So I'm doing the channeling session on Sunday, so I'd love for you to come to that. We'll have the links here, and I'll leave a lot of links for you. But also just know that your potential is unfolding, and it's right here. And I know that because that's the changes of the energies in our universe right now. And so I'm going to be completing all of this because this is the kind of work I'm going to give the world. We have to recognize your life matters, and you do leave a legacy. And that means if you decide to love yourself. Love yourself is to do what you came to the world to do, and everyone has it, and I'm so grateful that I could see it. What you will hear in some of those videos, that the greatest difficulty for me was being able to see the perfection of you, and then you couldn't. That was my greatest frustration. You'll enjoy all of these. See you soon. As we say each time we begin one of our meetings here, is that we have waited for you your entire lives. And you will understand that today because nothing has happened accidentally in your lives. You've never been in the wrong place. You've never made a wrong turn. You're just going to come to understand it. You're just going to come to figure out and know your particular role in this world right now. And it is happening right now. That's why this particular intersection is occurring. This morning, we gave you a message and it is on our site. It is titled, You Will Know, You Will Come to Know More of Your Importance in the World. And that's what we're talking about because each of you are really important. And especially at this time, this is why we've made this so urgent for Roger. We kept wanting him to do this, but as we said earlier, he did not plan this until yesterday. Even though we kept telling him a long time ago, we need to talk on the 27th, we need to speak to everyone. He said, no, 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 which is why we have this particular message on the screen. You each have an evolutionary journey that you are on. It coincides with your world's evolution. And you are here now because you wanted to make a really big difference in the way that your world is going to unfold. And the way that you're going to do that is when you start unfolding yourself, when you start owning every aspect of yourself and why you are here. What you are experiencing in your world right now didn't happen yesterday. We gave you this a long time ago as well. But just last week, we gave you one message that most of you misunderstood. And we said that forecasting disaster typically causes it to manifest. And what that means is that your thoughts, your thinking, your spirit, your energy is the most powerful thing in the world. However, if you've moved through a lot of your life not understanding that, feeling insignificant, it's challenging for you to get a hold of that. And so then we send people like Roger to the earth to help you because he never got a control of it. He never owned it. He never did it. That's why we're showing you the dates here. Now, this came about because we're so clever. We arranged all of these things just to make this impact on each of you because it is really important for you to honor that part of you that's always been there and you know it. That's part of you that knew you were going to do something that was going to be meaningful and make a difference not only to your life and to the rest of the world. Well, this is the time that you intended to do that. And because we planned this on the 22nd because we knew how your world was going to look, even though many of you denied what was going on. But now you're going to come to this reckoning, but the reckoning is within you. Last night, we told Roger to go back and continue some of the other study that we directed him to do. What we're saying here, you each directed to do different ventures in your life or studies or whatever it might be. And sometimes you don't understand why you're doing it, but you're always doing it for a reason. And then sometimes it shows up. So we've had him look at your ancient history because you must understand that you are repeating things that you have gone through for eons. And we say eons because you can't have a concept of time because you've been oriented in linear time, meaning you think that one thing happens here and then the next and then the next. Everything is happening at once, but you cannot get a hold of that concept. So humans then develop linear time to track their progress. And progress, we mean evolving. You're moving from one part of yourself into another. And every step you take into the next part of who you are may sometimes be uncomfortable, may sometimes be challenging, and then you don't move. However, you decided to be here now because you knew this period in your world's history would cause you to be more motivated to own who you are. And we're going to help you do that. That's what's going on now. See, because when you look at the conflicts that you're having in your world, they're existing within you. That's why you're here, because you're going to pick a side. You will. You've done it every time. This is what we had Roger study. All the different times of your civilization has gone through changes, big, big changes where you evolve. And every time that evolution happens, you each take different sides. We told you this a long time ago that you will choose. And that side that you take is purposeful. It is purposeful for this time in your life. And we kept saying, you have been on all sides. You have done all of it. Whatever lives you have lived, you have done all of it. But this time, you know why you're here. Each of you is here now because you have this part of you, this loving, benevolent part that has been stifled to a degree until now, because you were waiting for this period so you could let it come through. Again, why we're showing you the dream. It is the dream that each of you have had in your individual ways. And every situation in which you have found yourself is giving you the opportunity to own who you came to be. There is not one of you here who is less important than another. We have been screaming this one forever, because now it becomes more important for you to own that, because you are people who came to be loving. You came to offer light. You know that. You've seen the places that you've been. You've seen the things that you've been attracted to. You've seen the people that you've been attracted to. You would not have come to Roger unless that was true. No one comes into his experience unless that's what they're up to. You each have done that. Now, we will say, you may not accept that. He didn't. We told you his journey back in 1987, where we told him then, this is where you're meant to go. He said, no, I'm not ready yet. Nope, not ready yet. And he had a lot of judgment for years and years and years until now. See, because now it makes more sense. Now he knows this part, this time is really critical. This is really a pivotal moment in your world's history. Many of you do not understand that, but it is true. But there are some here who do have felt that. You know it. You've seen things going on in your world now that you know have not occurred in more than 100 years. Well, we told Roger, no, it's more than that. It's actually hundreds of years and centuries. But then we took him back to several centuries ago, several thousand years ago, before any of you have any memory, but those he saw. All of those things that were playing out there still happening in your world today. But you are the people who came to make a change. You are the people who decided we're going to do something different. When we gave you the message, forecasting disaster, that was due to the all the news that was going on about what was going to happen in Afghanistan. We did talk about that specifically. And the next day, everyone went to the news. Everybody saw what was happening. Oh, wow, how terrible this is. This is all happening now. Well, you did that a long time ago. You forecasted that centuries ago. And we're saying you because you are a part of everything that has gone on in your world. You're eternal beings and you're all equal. And your eternal spirits have always been here. You've just been connected in different ways. But this time, you know that you're here to create something that's going to help not only you or your family and your friends, but more people. And each of you can do that if you decide to own who you are. You are as valuable as any other person in the world. But now your value is going to become more. You see, because what happens is every evolution that you have in your society, in your world, you see the differences after you come out of it. You become better. You become more aligned. You become more inclusive. You accept people more. You can see it. And if you were to take the time to really study your history, which we had Roger do, which he never wanted to do before, but we said we needed to prepare you for this time in your evolutionary journey. And part of his evolutionary journey was not holding himself back. And then we prepared him for that as well. And we did that for all of you. We did this for all of you. We had him sit the other night and write as us, you see, because that's the thing that was always strange to him. You know how you hear the voices in your head? Oh, wait a minute. Am I supposed to do that? Am I the person who's doing that? Yes, you are. That's why you're hearing it. And you know you're hearing it because it doesn't feel bad. It's just your resistance. You push it away. He's done that, but he also knows now that that was purposeful for him. He had a lot of judgment about doing it before, but now he knows, this is great because now I know who I am. And my only mission in the world is to help everyone else come to know who they are, because the feeling that you gain from that is it's beyond compare. And love is so much stronger, brighter, more powerful than any darkness anyone could see. And so the more of you come together, this is why we urged him to do these groups. The more of you come together, you create more of that light, and that changes your world. You will change, you'll also change your planet. Your global warming will go away. It will absolutely go away, but it won't do it unless you start to move. You are each that responsible, meaning that when you start to love yourself, you're going to care about other things. You're going to care about more people. You'll care about your earth. You'll start making different choices. That what you each will do. Not everyone will do that, and you know it. But see, now here you are, and now you have to fulfill all of it. So the other part of it is you're going to see, as we've talked about before, you're going to see everyone who disagrees with what you're doing. Except you know what you're doing, and you have to do that now. So what we did was we had Roger sit down and write this really long, what he felt was a manifesto, as we said this morning, and he sent it to everyone. Sent it to all his family and friends. Well, what he didn't want a response. He didn't want to know anything. He just sent it. He says, this is who I am. And that's what each of you are doing now. And that's why we did that. So he could become more present, more clear for you, so that you become encouraged, because you're going to do that for other folks. Each of you here is to make an example for all of those who are coming behind you. That's what is happening. You are each here on an evolutionary journey that's also generational. And that generational change that you're all moving through is helping to heal something from the past, from the centuries. It's all of that. You don't need to know what that is, but you do know what you've had in front of you that you have not been willing to embrace, that you have not been willing to accept about who you are, that you have not felt all of your power, that you have thought that other people had it all. This is something that your society does all the time, and we've told you that before. On our last session, we had a message that we wanted you to see, which was called Money, Love, Power, and Control. Those are the things that your society always moves through. Every human will experience that when they come into the earth, and they will take a chance. They will make a choice. Where am I going to go this time? Am I going to be more concerned about money and physical things? And that's valuable. In life, that is valuable. Or is my interest going to be more about other people and taking care of them? And we know that not everyone does that. But those of you who do, this is the time where you meant to have that come about, because it fulfills who you are. And that's what you have known as well. The one thing that we have come to now is that it's too important in the history, in this time in your world, for you to judge yourself, for you to have any kind of judgment on yourselves at all, because that diminishes your light when you do that. And so we have made this point with Roger. Okay, every time you hear it with somebody, don't let them do it, because it diminishes the light for everybody. You have never done anything wrong. None of your mistakes meant anything. You were just learning what you were meant to do now. Everything is a progression. And so last night, we're going to do a little bit more for you. We'll play this later, but Roger was sitting on, you think things are accidental, and they're not, and we're going to explain a little bit more. Last night, he was sitting on his sofa, as we mentioned in our writing this morning, and he had his iPad there, and he happened to, accidentally, he thinks things are happening accidentally, like some of you do. They're never happening that way. He opened up a song that he had forgotten about, that he and a partner, his friend, wrote several years ago. Now, let's tell you, when the song was first presented to him, it was called The Alchemist. And Roger thought, well, that's not quite the right title, because I'm not sure that people will understand that. And so we said to him, because we came in at that point, we do this all the time, we said, it's The Optimist, because that's what you're going to need later. See, we can project what's happening in your world, and we can tell him what's going on and where you need to be. You each have that. Each of you has been guided that way. You just didn't know that. And so he's explaining this because he wants you to understand what his journey was, so you start accepting yours, and you will start believing who you are. That's really what we want. No matter what you're going through right now, no matter what you're experiencing, it is something that you wanted to, because it was going to cause you to evolve. It may be challenging, it may be difficult. We understand, because Roger's had tons of that. We told him also, we want, when he agreed to start doing this, we must tell you this, because this is nothing he ever wanted to do. He never wanted to be here doing this. Well, he did. He just wouldn't admit it. Just like you haven't done that. Oh, I can't admit I'm going to do that. But now he knows that he can, and he knows that the way that he's going to make a difference is the more of you he can finally convince to own how wonderful and magnificent and all the talents that you have, then he feels great. If we could, again, we mentioned this last time, we could go on and on about all the trauma that he's experienced in his life, all the difficulties, all the challenges, all of that. We could tell you all of that, except he knows now that it was okay. That's the value that you bring to anything. When you go through something that's challenging or difficult, you experience it, you come out of it, you feel better. That stuff doesn't mean as much to you, and then you give it back to others, and that is how your world evolves. Now, one of the things, we'll tell you this because some of you might do this, Roger doesn't, he knows that we're always speaking through him. When he's thinking he's doing something, it's always us jumping in and saying something, and that used to be quite unnerving to him until now he's accepted it. He will be speaking to one of you and you will say something, and many of you have experienced that. He will be speaking to one of you, you'll say something, and we'll say to him, oh, we told you about that. Go and find this message and give it to them. And then we do it and you read it and you go, wow. All of that is to show you that you've never been in the wrong place. You're not here accidentally. None of you will hear this later, because many people will hear this later. You're not hearing it at an accidental time in your life. It's just that you will come to understand why. You each have this great purpose in this world. And when you begin to understand that, everything is going to change. Every civilization, as we've explained, you come in to take a particular role. Now, it's difficult for Roger to explain this, but let's do this. See, you have human classifications. You will call things good and bad, evil, right, wrong, all of that, but all of them are necessary. You see, all of them are necessary because you can't evolve without them. And there have been many different leaders who will call them things like a conflict, contrast, all of those things. It's all the same thing. They're differences. But what you're meant to do is bring your differences together, because when you bring your differences together, you heal. You heal yourself and you heal your world. And so when you come to understand how important you are, then you will stop judging yourself. You will start to, oh, wait a minute, I can go and do this now. Because that's what needs to happen at this time. Roger never understood why we made these last talks that we were giving so urgent. And we gave you a message many weeks ago, where we said the world that you desire to see is not guaranteed. And that's what's happening right now, which is why we had him see a lot of history, because some of your societies have gone away because some of you did not act in terms of ownership. Some of you did not decide that you were going to own what was the best part of you and give that to the world. And that's when things went away. That's when you might have lost what you thought you were going to gain. And you're each going through that in different ways in your lives, but this is purposeful. The other day, we planned something else. After Roger did, and we're saying all of this because we really want you to get this, because after we had him sit down and write his manifesto, as we said, right after that, he discovered that one of his YouTube channels was gone. It was deleted. All the content, everything was deleted. Now, and people were looking at this and saying, oh, wow, this is a horrible thing. How could this have happened? Roger knew why it happened. He takes responsibility. He knows his things that he could have done that could have prevented that. He didn't do it. He looked at it. And some of you do this. You look at things and then you don't do it. This is why we told you to look at Flora, which we'll speak about. We said that a long time ago, and this is what we meant. We tie things together in odd ways, but it makes it more impactful for you. You see, but what you're doing now is putting all these things together, is what we're saying. So every civilization, you come in and you take a role, and you say, I'm going to take this thing. I'm going to be on this side now. And then you come back and you say, I'm going to be on that side now. But then you'll start to judge the other side heavily. You will. And that's what's coming up now. And we know it because you're going to see it today. You're going to see so many things today. You already have that you're going to judge. And you know that your role here this time was to offer something different, was to bring something different into the world. And so you're going to look at them and you're going to offer understanding, because you're going to know that they don't completely understand where their journey is, but you are this time. This time on this journey, you're more aware than some of the others who are just being here as an example for you. That's a great way for us to say it. They're just here as an example for you, to encourage you to own what is within you. That's all that is there. There was a book, and we told you this before, about the 3 magic words. Last time we talked about it, we didn't give you the ending, but now we're going to, because it's more important. Again, we're putting the urgency on you owning yourself. No matter what you're going through, your fear, all of that doesn't mean anything. This does, though. And so in this book, this was in 1979 that he read this book. U.S. Anderson, you should read it. We'll give you that too. We give props to whatever is out there that we think will help you all come to own who you are a little bit more. But in that book, the instruction was very clear. Do not go to the end to find the 3 magic words. Don't do that. And so Roger's very diligent. He usually follows instructions. And so he waited. He read the entire book. He waited, and he was so anxious to get to the end. And he wanted to know what it was. Again, this was 1979. And he read it, and he got to the end. And then he said, oh, no. Because the 3 magic words were, you are God. And we need each of you to come to understand that now. There's no one who has been put on this earth who is more powerful than you, who has more than you. It's just never happened. The one thing we want to talk about too, and we started this last time, you think that your government is controlling you. We've spoken about this many times. First of all, you can't be controlled, because where you live is in your brain. It's living in your thoughts. That's where you live. That's where you experience everything in your consciousness. Your body doesn't stay here. Your consciousness is always here. So that's where your real freedom is to begin with. However, the other part of that is you are the government. You put those people there. And if you have enough power, if you don't want them there, then why don't you change it? And there's something that's going on now. We talked about denial in some of our previous messages. We've given you many of them. But denial is the thing that really holds you back, because you won't look at what happened before, just as we said, which is why Roger is owning what he's done. After that thing happened with his YouTube, he said, no, I'm owning this. I'm going to talk about it. It's my mistake. I didn't do this. I could have done something better. Each of you has that. So, but what's going on now in your world is there's a lot of denial going on. Denial and blame. Now, this is how they work. You will use blame to say this person caused it or that person caused it, and that's why I'm feeling that way. So then you can keep practicing denial, which means that you don't own how powerful you are. It's a really great game. But eventually you get tired of playing it. And your world and your society gets tired of playing it as well. And that's what's going on now. Except this is a very critical point for each of you. Now, we did it on this day, and we called it the full moon because it is a powerful one. None of these things are happening accidentally. That you would have the construction, the configuration of the planets is exactly the way they are now to produce this kind of energy that would cause you each to wake up to who you are. And all the disasters that you're seeing in the world are serving the same purpose. And you could change it if you chose to. Your weather is not happening by itself. It just isn't. And at some point, you will start to understand that and believe it. But again, the way that you're going to do it doesn't mean you have to go out and be this environmentalist and do all of that. But what you do have to do is start to love yourself. That's what you have to do. Above all else. See, because when you love yourself, you will make different choices. You will do different things. You will bring a different energy into the world. Energy is all that's creating your world. When you bring that energy into the world, it's everybody picks up on it. It just grows. It becomes exponential. It just grows exponentially. That's what happens. And we'll give you another one. This morning, you have to stop holding yourself back from where you're supposed to go. That's the other thing we want to say. This morning, Roger received an email, and they asked him, it was the group that he is in, and they asked, do you want to do these talks every day, every week? Every week. Listen, you want to do them every week? And Roger said, I don't know. I don't know. Let me wait. Let me see. I'll know after today. And we felt, no, wait a minute, this is the most fun you've ever had. So why would you not do them? And you're going to make the biggest difference if you can give this to other people. Why wouldn't you do them? So he's rethinking all of that. He will make a new decision on that, because you each need to understand you get more. There's a momentum that you build within your life, and you're doing it yourself. You're doing it every single moment, every thought you're doing. Now, what happens is there's another aspect to this, which we're going to speak on, and that is you're not just doing it for yourself. So some of you may have been experiencing some really challenging times beyond what you see happening in your world, and you wonder why. The reason is you decided in this life that you were going to accept some challenges that your ancestors had, that you're going to help move through those. Now it's your time to start to change those. That's what you're doing. This is why, again, we wanted you to see that this has been going on for centuries, thousands and thousands of years. And each time you get a little better. When we say we, we're talking about, when we say you, we're talking about your collective world, your humanity, all of it. And there are certain things that would give you each so much more comfort and peace. And that is to study a little bit more, because you have the resources, you have the technology to be able to do that. And so when you start to look and find the real information that does exist, there's some that's, you know the difference, but there's some information that does exist. And we're talking about your history. We're not talking about your opinions or any of that. We're talking about your history. Because if you look at your history, you're going to study so much, the history of your world, your personal history, and the history of your world. And when you examine it, you can see very clear patterns of progression. You're in one now. This is just really big. And so we want you to understand that you chose to be here at this time in your world's history because you knew this was going to be a big shift and you wanted to be a part of it. No matter how challenging it was for you, you wanted to do that. And you will. You absolutely will. There's so many things that we have given you over the years that only are making sense now. Now, we're saying this because we know some of you have read our stuff. Some of you may not have seen our messages for years and years and years. However, if you were to go back, you would see that everything that we gave was leading to this place, was leading to this moment. The first part will tell you this too, because this will help you each in understanding your journey, because you've been moving through things your entire life. You have, and every time you get better. You're evolving until you stop, until you choose not to. You do have that choice because you have free will, which again, we've given you many of those, more so to Roger many, many years ago. You have free will. You come into the world and you have potential. You can do anything, but then you also have free will to choose. And so many times you have chosen not to move ahead. You've chosen not to believe yourself. That's just a choice. But then the beauty of that is you can now choose something different. You can choose to believe all that stuff that people have told you about your potential and who you are and what a magnificent being you are. Now it's time for you to come alive with that. Now, what we're saying is that there is a evolution that happens in your world. You're in it, but you have a personal one, but then there's the world's evolution. Okay. And so you come together, you come in at a specific time to be a part of what is happening in your world. So you each chose this time. And we really want you to understand this one because it's important. This is why we've been trying to really get you to get in there and accept yourself. This is a pivotal moment. You can see it. You see what's happening. And sometimes you get a little afraid of it. We are not. Because we know that if you step up, it can change. It's painful for us to see some of the opinions and that you each will accept about the disaster that is coming, rather than saying, let me do something about it. And what you do about it, it never has to be some big thing you have to go out and change. It is only what is within you, your individual life, what you have been given. You're supposed to make that brilliant. You're supposed to own every aspect of who you are. And you're supposed to love all of that, even your mistakes. See, because your mistakes taught you everything. Your failures that you thought they were failures, they never were. But if you have them, If you think that, if you classified them that way, they were gifts that were given to you to transform so that you could help yourself evolve and that of the world. That is what is happening now. We will give you something else. Roger never understood all of this, and we only gave him this bit of history. We direct him to go and study certain things, but the conflict in Israel, for instance, if you were to understand that history and how long that has gone on, and the different sides that have moved back and forth, you would understand what's happening in your world right now. It's just different forms, but that's what's happening in your, and it's not just in certain, it's in every country because you're humans. And so your energies are connected globally. It's connected to everyone. So the changes that you're seeing, which you can't understand sometimes, are occurring everywhere. And we took Roger back. We're going to give you all of this. We took Roger back to your in your planet, your pandemic of 1918. And this was the one that no one figured out, that nobody could get to. Because you see, there was a virus then too. There was the flu and everybody was dying and nobody knew what was happening. But they started figuring things out, which you're doing now too. They started figuring things out and placing people and said, okay, wait a minute, we know how this transmutes and how that happens. But then what they started discovering, which no one talks about very much, no one talks about it very much, because what they discovered was that this virus was showing up in parts of the world that didn't have any connection with the places where the virus existed. How did that happen? It's because you were connected energetically. As humans, you're connected energetically. You just don't know how powerful you are. You can transmit anything. Telepathically, you can transmit absolutely anything, except now it becomes more important for you to transmit what you want. That's what we're doing now. And that's why we want you each to come together and just own who you are and just bring this portion of yourself into the world, because no matter what you think, you did plan this. You plan to be here right now. You plan to make all of your connections. You just doubt them. We're going to talk about something else because this is so perfect, because Faisal is here today. So when Faisal showed up, Faisal is Roger's assistant. We're going to talk about this because when he showed up, Roger doubted it. He goes, wait a minute, I've had trouble before. People don't want to give to me. I've given to everyone. See, we're saying this because many of you here have had this. I've given to everyone. Nobody's going to come and give anything to me. And so then when it started happening, and Faisal just saying, what can I do? How can I help? What can I do? Roger's going, no, that doesn't fit my narrative about myself. That can't be right. See, that's what each of you have done. You haven't accepted your importance, which is why, again, we wrote the message this morning. Well, we gave him the message this morning, but also we want you to understand you can't judge yourself about that. You have to become aware. See, because you're always going to do that. You are never in a place where you are finished. You are never in a place where you are complete, because you're eternal beings. So how could that be? So every step along the way of your evolutionary journey is you moving into a greater portion of yourself and becoming that great, magnificent being. And then you might believe the 3 magic words at some point. That could happen. And the more of you who do, that changes your world. We must get you to understand that. Now, again, we have to make this point, because it may sound like we know that you're going to make choices, because you're going to see it in your world. It's not going to be possible. We really want you to understand this. You're going to see things going on in your world, especially in the next few days, next few months. You will see this. Okay, you're going to see things happening in your world that you are going to just think everything's going crazy. You're going to hate it. You're going to hate the people. All of that's going to come up. And that is your signal at that moment to say, oh, now I'm going to remember who I am. I'm going to see beyond all the noise. And that's what we mean literally. See beyond the noise. You can. And each of you knows that you have that ability. You felt it in moments, little moments in your life. Oh, yeah. And you've done certain things. Oh, we'll also say, because you know, you are the people who, out of the blue, folks are coming up to you and asking you for advice. You know that. You felt it. And then you thought, why are they asking me? Because you came in with a knowingness. You came in with the wisdom. You came in with so much that you were going to offer the world. Now, some of you may have thought that was over, but that's never true either, because you're doing it now. And every form in which you're doing that is important. Every single one. There's so many things happening in your world currently that many of you have missed, which we spoke on last time, because there are many different technologies and information and resources that are being developed that were never seen before because you had to stay at home. That's how they came about. You had to stay at home. And then you came into yourself. Now you make a choice in that. Sometimes it becomes very challenging for you to be with yourself. Really challenging, because that's that place where you come into, oh, what am I going to do if I don't have all the distractions? If I don't have all this other stuff to do, then who am I? We told you, but we'll keep telling you because it takes a while for you to accept that. We gave Roger a program that he has created, didn't know where it came from, how he did it, rather. He just knew that we were doing it because he looks at it and he goes, wow, I couldn't have possibly written that. Again, that's the disconnect that many of you have with the gifts and the talents that you have, which is why we keep bringing this up. But you comes a time in your life where it starts to make more sense to you. And then you find yourself here. We're saying that because we know that you heard some things that are not accidental, that you're hearing some stuff that, oh yeah, I remember. That's what it is. We told Roger a long time ago, and we're telling you now, you will remember who you are. You will. As you move through your life, you will remember who you are. Now, some of you have lost people during this period of time, and some of you have had some questions about that. Why did they have to go? Why did that have to happen? And we will tell you the main reason is that so you become more compassionate, so you become more empathetic. That's why. And these people decided we're going to sacrifice that because we want you to become more compassionate. That may not make sense to you, but you each make choices like that before you come in. You will agree to what roles you want to play. And those roles sometimes will serve the greater good or just serve yourself at that time. Those are the choices that you make, which is why we gave you the last message: money, love, power, and control. That is what's happening in your world right now. And that's why it's a little challenging for each of you to figure that out, because you've used money to control things forever. And you have thought that power was going to make you happy. And so you tried to hang on to it as much as you could. And in that effort, you would kill other people to hang on to your power. But now you're not doing that. We're saying this purposely because we want you to understand you've taken both sides. But this time you have to own the one that you've decided to live now. And that is this benevolent being. And if you remove the judgment that you've had on yourself for all of the things that have happened in your life until now, you will start to become those people. That's exactly what's happening. And we just want to say this again, because we don't do, let's explain this. Roger will he gets a little, it bothers him when people say, oh, you're psychic. It's not that. It is not that. He has an intuitive ability you've been developing, comes through us. We've been working on this forever and forever. But the other part of it, it's just that it's logical, which each of you have that ability. You know the choices that you make and the results that they would produce. But that, again, becomes the denial that each of you use to block off you think, but it's not working, to block off your magnificence. That's what goes on. But again, this time, you're going to let go of that, because we can't even begin to tell you how momentous this time in your world is, how critical, how crucial it is. And you have to come together and just love yourself. Because when you do that, you're going to love the other people. You're going to start seeing everything in a little different way. Now, we're saying this now because it may look a little different for a while, but that's okay. We're going to keep doing this to keep informing you of what is actually occurring, because you're making great changes. You are shifting your planetary configuration right now, just by being here, just by being on the earth. Each of you are that important. And you become more so when you understand it and when you come together. And that is the current trajectory of your world right now. There are going to be groups of you coming together who will create this kind of momentum that will cause your world to shift in a whole new way. And it's going to be the one you want. But as we said, it's not guaranteed, meaning that you have to do something. And that what you're going to do is start to decide, oh, wait a minute, I've got something within. And I can see all of these things, every situation in my life, I can see how they were forming me. Now, we're saying this because we'll take, as we go on with these talks in the future, we'll continue on with a bit of this, but we have so many messages that we could refer to that will tell you about your journey. One was which was so much, and all of you would really receive so much value from this, and it was called, you were being prepared. We want each of you to think of that. You were being prepared. Because if you haven't done that thing that you thought you were supposed to do or felt or whatever it might have been, you were being prepared. But we will say the preparation that you were doing was meant to be utilized during this time in your life. That's what's happening. And many of you have felt that. You have felt this questioning. There's someone here we know, and we're speaking right to you because you've had so many questions about this and you doubted yourself and you judged it, but no. And we said to you, no, you're in the right place. And some of you have had that in different ways. But there is no difference. And if you look at our messages again, you will see one of the themes that we gave you all a long time ago is there's no hierarchy of souls. You understand that? Souls. We're not talking about people, we're talking about souls. I mean, you each come in with such magnificent gifts that are connected to so much. But you come in and then you start comparing yourselves to individuals so that you can make yourselves a little insignificant and less important. So now it's time to start doing that because this is what you meant to do. You meant to move through that and come to this place of complete ownership of who you are. There's so many things. Again, let's talk about this. When we kept making the references to Florida, we did it for two reasons. And this one we know is hard for a lot of you because you will see things going on there that you will judge as being horrible and they didn't have to happen. Yes, that's true. But judgment isn't supposed to happen either, because then you get, if you're judging, you're not gaining what you came to do. You're not accomplishing your goal. You came for understanding. Judgment and understanding are not the same thing. They're completely different. And that's the thing that each of you have had trouble within your own lives, you see, because you judged yourself because you didn't understand that there was something more. You didn't understand that you had more ability. You didn't understand any of that. And so then when you didn't live up to whatever imaginary goal or idea you had about yourself, then you start to judge yourself. And then what happens is you keep doing that over and over again. And before you know it, you're this worthless people. Not many of you have done that to that degree, but you know what we're talking about. But you are the people who are supposed to understand that so that you can help others come to acceptance of who they are. That's all that's going on now. And we've given you also, and we would advise any of you to go through our messages and find these things as we're referring to them. But if you were to go into search the word chaos, we really would like at some point each of you to go to our site, Any Advice for Today, and search the word chaos and read all the messages that are there. And you will see how long we've talked about this. You will create chaos. You create it in your lives, and then that translates into your world until you do something, until you get motivated, until you move enough to do something to change things and to change that trajectory to have your life and the world go in a new way. That's what's happening. And it's not going to go away. It's not going to completely go away. Well, the form that you want may go away if you don't act. That could happen. That could happen. There have been many times in your civilizations where certain peoples have disappeared. It is true. You can go back and study history. That has happened. And you're at a juncture where you could cause that again if you kept going in the direction that you were. But we're not doing that. We've decided we're going to change course. We're going to come together and we're going to offer something that's going to make people come to understand why they're here, what they're meant to do. And more so than anything else, it is nothing else than loving yourselves and getting rid of the judgment, because you are needed now. We've given you many messages in the past where the world needs you now. None of you knew what we were talking about. This is it. This is what we're talking about. This is the time where you were spent to, your magnificence was supposed to come through and light up the world. We want to keep using that light, because that's what you each are in your own way, in your own magnificent way. Let's say this, everything that you're doing, your jobs are so important. Doesn't matter what it is. It's so important because your essence is going into it. Your essence is causing it to become something. Your essence will change the world. We told you who you were. You could do all of that. But sometimes, depending on what you have in your evolutionary DNA, let's talk about that, because you have that as well, which we spoke in the last conversation, where if you were to study your DNA, you would see all the little threads that you have connected to all the other places in the world. You do have that. And so because of it, you have energetic things that are coming to you. You have no memory of it. You see, but the Crusades, as we spoke of before, you could have had places there that you were connected to, and you're still feeling that now. You're still working with that, we should say, working with that. But whatever it is that you have, it is for your evolution and that of the world. There is no separation in that. One of the weirdest concepts, and we're going to say this because we really need you to hear it, because when Roger first heard it, it was so challenging and difficult for him. But if we said, it's like Hitler went to heaven, that was a reference that he heard, and it's so shocking. How could that have happened? Well, because then when you understand that you each serve a purpose, and that purpose is to cause humanity to evolve. First of all, we don't believe in the heaven or hell thing. Those are just terms that some humans use, but you can understand that when we use it. And that is what we want you to see now, because you're going to look at people, and you've done it. You've looked at your leaders. It's happening now. It's happening, going to happen big time now. But you're going to crucify your leaders because they did all of this to you, instead of you understanding that you are the leaders. That's why we have that on the post there. You are the leaders. And anything that you see out in your world, you could change if you chose to. You could do it. You have that ability. And so to think that somebody has some power over you or is controlling you is totally ludicrous. You possess as much power as every single person. There's not more or less given to anyone. You just use it in different ways and at different times and at different lifetimes. We want to say that because, again, we know why you are here now. And you know why you are here now. You may not have accepted it all. You may not have believed it, but you do know why you're here. You felt that part of you internally that says, I know that I'm supposed to do something. I know I'm supposed to make a difference. Why isn't it happening? Why is no one seeing me? Why is that not occurring yet? It is now. And it's going to start to be shown to you more and more. The other thing that will happen, and we've given Roger so many of these, as we said, this song that we will play for you later, because how could he have known that the words of this song would be appropriate for today? And he just found it last night. He just discovered it last night. And then what we did to make this even, we do things and we get him to pay attention to it and to see them, just like you do. You're going to start noticing these things. So he went into he came home and he saw on his Facebook post there was a message from someone about that particular song that he just put up today. And they said, we needed that today. How could Roger have known that? We're saying these things because you each doubt yourself so much. You doubt the guidance that you've been given. Roger did. That's why he knows that his life mission now, because of the life he's lived, he knows that he is here to help move things forward by causing each of you to believe in yourselves a lot more. Whatever it is that you're doing, that's all he knows, is that he wants you to believe in that because he knows it's valuable. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. And we can say that to this group because we know that the things that you are doing are meant to help others, are meant to bring more love into the world, are meant to change things in a different way. Again, your weather is a direct result of you not loving yourselves. Yeah, you're that powerful. Now, there will be several things coming up in your world in the next several months, which will think you might tend to think that things are going wrong. They're going haywire. They're not. That's why we want you to read the messages on chaos. If you read them, you will understand. You do this all the time in your world. You've done it over and over again. You create great conflicts. This is a big one though. This is a big shift, but you've also done other shifts in your civilizations. You have no memory of that, and you wouldn't have any understanding of it unless you were a serious a scholar of history. You wouldn't have any of that information. But we're giving you bits and pieces because we incrementally give this to Roger. One other thing we want to address, because a friend said to Roger, and we explained it before, but we're going to do it again. In several of our messages, we will say we will reveal more later, and this goes on. And then the question was, well, why can't you tell us now? Because you don't understand it and you don't accept it. You have to have experiences that give you a little bit of validity, that give you a little bit of proof or something that causes you to move into more acceptance of who you are. And Roger has dedicated his entire life to bring you here, which is why we said we have waited for you your entire lives, because he has spent his entire life gaining this to be able to give it to you now, so that you will go on and make these great changes in the world, and he will feel that he's done his job, because you each have that job to do as well. And the only job that you have is to just embody every aspect of who you are. As nuts as you might think it is, as crazy, as ridiculous, as out of the blue, we want you to own that. Because see, now you're going to change something. This is why we took Roger back to your Einstein. See, because when you look at Einstein, there's these scholars that you've had, these scientists and these physicists and philosophers who come to this great understanding later in their lives. Why do you think that happens? Because there were certain things that they needed to live, experience, and experiment with and figure out, and then call this information into something that you could each understand. And then it causes your world to evolve in greater ways than you can ever imagine. We're going to say this because we know what you're going to see in the next several days, and it's going to look a little strange to you and a little frightening, but we're telling you that it's your opportunity. It's not going to feel that way, but it is. And we will encourage you. We'll keep going with you. We're going to keep doing this because, see, this is part of Roger's journey. He has to break through his withhold, which is why, again, the timing was right. And we had him write his manifesto that freed him to degrees that you can't even imagine. And you're each doing that now. And some of you will come away from today feeling a bit more free, a bit more understanding will come to you. This is why you go to all the things that you do. That's why you have been drawn to going to certain religious practices or spiritual practices or churches or certain groups or whatever it is. You weren't doing that accidentally. You were training yourself. You were being prepared. You were following your inclination, your intuition to go into those places. You may have questioned it, but it was always the right thing. It was always the right thing. And that's what you are now. In this period of your lives, you're going to all come to understand that. You're going to come to see it. Because see, we're going to keep pointing it out. We did a little bit of it today, but we're going to keep doing more. We know that you got something. We know that that it hit you. Because again, as we've said, never in an accidental place. Just not happening. And we're so passionate about this now because we know what's there. We know what could come if you do not own yourselves. Yeah, we make it a little urgent, but we can. Your world's not going to implode. It's not going to do that. However, it will be more challenging if you do not come into owning who you are and give the gifts that you have to the rest of the world. That is where we are at this point. Now, the title of this talk that we had today, this is why we met. It's your future of the world and you. See, because they're not separated. What you are creating in your life is going to be reflected in the world. And that's why we want you to own it, love it, and give it to them. Okay. We would like to take questions. We would like to discuss whatever comes up for you, whatever you heard that maybe was a little confusing or you didn't understand or you want a little more clarification, or if it's something about your life specifically, we would love to entertain your question. You can, we believe you have the ability to unmute yourselves. If you would rather place something into the chat, please do that because we are anxious for your questions. So maybe we've done a good job. Maybe we've gotten everything out that we needed to. Maybe some of you have started to accept a bit more. Maybe some of you are feeling a bit more calm. Maybe you're feeling a bit more assured. Maybe that's happening. We are so grateful that you are here. We are so pleased that you are here because we know what you can do. And we know the difference that you will make in the world when you allow yourself to do it. And we will be here and we will continue to offer you encouragement and guidance because you deserve it. Every struggle that you've ever had is going to be worth it. You'll see. Those meaningless words will become powerful for you. You will understand. You always do. You always come to that understanding. And you come to it quicker if you start to open and believe it. Which is why we have the dream on the screen for you. We are complete. Oh, wow. There's a few people here. More people in there. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Faisal, you can stop the screen share. Oh, I guess you're not. Okay. Let me. Faisal, are you there? Maybe it's let me see if I can do it. Okay, 1 second. Okay, let me stop this. Hang on 1 second. Let me fix this. I'm going to come back in so I can see you guys. Is he still here? Maybe he's had to leave. Oh, Sally didn't get into the room. So sorry. Okay, now I'm there. I found it. Okay, I got there. I guess, hey, hi everyone. So Okay, let me go. There's some things in the chat. Okay, let me go. And I didn't, he guess he didn't see these. Hang on 1 second, you guys. I'm so sorry. Great, thank you. Okay, great. You're welcome. Let's see. Okay, how many changes are people who want to change here? So many changes, some people who want to change here. There is so much anxiety. How do we move through this and help others? Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. We're going to move through it by remembering who we are. We each know that part of ourselves that has sometimes been a little weak or we've just got to bring it up now. That's what we're doing. And we're all going to do that. And when we do it together, it becomes so different. We become stronger. And the comfort that we feel with one another. We've gone through this so much, as I said. And so and again, I was led back and I didn't know why this was happening, because I never was the person who wanted to study history. I didn't want to go, but why are you leading me here? I'm spending these hours doing this, because it gave me comfort, because I can see what has gone on, you see, and it gave me a say, okay, this is a huge transition we're all here and around doing, but if we understand it, we could make something brilliant happen. And that's what we're all doing. Let's see. We can, yes, absolutely. Anxiety, fear of the future, trust your alignment. Yes, thank you. The anxiety, okay, we each take particular roles. You're not supposed to all not have fear and anxiety, okay? You're not, that's just good. Sometimes you will have that. I've had enough for everybody. And so that's why I have to talk about it. I mean, the stuff that I've gone through, and I get it now. And so that's why I said, okay, I've got to help other people come to know this. Each of us is doing something in different timelines, different times in our own lives that are coinciding with what's happening in our world. And I know it's weird, because I can look at stuff that seems so terrible and I say, oh, okay, I guess we're just going in a whole different direction now. I guess that's causing us to wake up to who we are. That's how I look at things when I see it. And some of you know that, because when I work with clients and they come in and tell me these horrible things that have happened, I look at it and I go, oh, good, now we're going to get something. I know that's insane. However, I just know that whatever you were given was for a reason to help you evolve. That's all. It just doesn't look that way while you're moving through it. Our world doesn't look that way while we're going through it as well. But we can't allow ourselves to be distracted by I think it was noise that came through. Okay. That's the other thing. I forget what comes through when I'm doing these. But see beyond the noise. Yeah, that's what it was. See beyond the noise. And that was I love that one. Okay, let's see. I'm concerned about the huge evangelical event in the city park near me. Many people think the city is doing this, and it's religious on public land. Whatever that is, I have no idea, but whatever it is, you, whoever that is that's going to see this, you're going to say, oh yeah, it's okay. See, what you're going to see is people expressing and believing in what they believe in. And you're going to say, that's all right. You're going to say, that's okay, because that gives me permission to believe what I believe. That's all. I'm going to see it, because we can't go. Everything that keeps coming through is that we will see hate. We're just going to see it. We're going to see so much of it in division and all of that. But this time we came to do something a little different, and so that's the part that we have to own. And we know that because of the lives that we've lived. Each one of us knows that. So now is the time that, even though this all looks really crazy, now is the time that we're supposed to come together and own every aspect of who we are. And if we do it together, it becomes so much better. I mean, there were so many other things that they didn't go into, but there's a thing called the dark night of the soul. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that. It was some kind of a religious kind of thing or whatever. And then when I came upon it, I said, oh, I've done that so many times. I've done that so many times in my life where I thought my life is over. The times I can tell you that I was like, didn't know if I was going to make it through the night. I understand those times, and they were painful and horrible. But I will tell you now, I understand them, and it's okay. Everything that we have, every experience we have, is to cause us to become more. That's all that's going on, each and every one of us. And so, and we're going to come to know it. We absolutely will. Okay, let's see. Oh, great. Thank you. Okay, make it. Thank you. It's beautiful. We can make it. Believe in love and gratitude. Fear is just letting us know we are doing, yes, something different. Fear is just letting us know we are doing something different. Yes, that's very true. Let me tell you, I talked about this last time. I want to do it again because I know this came through. They gave me this definition of the ego. I don't know if did that come through last time. I don't remember, but this is a really good one when you get this one. Because now I understand. The ego is this thing that we've created around ourselves, this false identity. And what it always does is tries to keep us safe, try to keep us in this box so that we don't own who we are. But the deal is we made it. We made the ego. Because when we came in, we were free beings. We could have done anything. But then for whatever reason, there's so many things, and I'm thinking on the next ones, we'll talk about this a little bit more, because we each have these energetic connections to things that we don't completely understand, that we are living in this life, but it's all purposeful. And so anyway, so there are different things that might be causing your ego to act up. So, but the ego is saying, okay, you're going to step out of this limited space of yourself, this limited belief that you've had, but we don't want that to happen because we're really comfortable here. We're really comfortable sitting in the muck. I'm saying that, this is why people can stay in really abusive relationships or horrible situations or jobs or whatever, because that becomes more comfortable to them because they've known it rather than stepping out of it. And so sometimes we will use this ego to say, oh, wait a minute, I'm about to move. I'm going to make myself really afraid. I'm saying this because, as you know, I wrote a book on fear. I had to do it because I had so much of it. And I've lived a life in this world because I'm a little up there, and I've seen horrible things happen in the world. I've seen a lot of it. I've lived through a lot of it. But then I've also seen what comes out of it when we start to make changes. That's all. And that's what we're doing right now. This just feels a little more, I know it feels more challenging than possibly ever before. But again, the thing that I get, and I'm going to keep talking about this because they keep telling me this, the people here now wanted to make a big difference. You each wanted to make this big difference. That's why it's so challenging, but it's going to be good. We're going to have a few more months is what I hear, but we're going to move into a whole different place. It's just going to take a little time. That's all. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay. Great. Okay. Oh, I missed all these up here. Okay, I'm sorry. Great. I got those. Okay. Good. All right. Well, anything else? Anybody want to share anything? Anything that comes up? Anything at all?
I think what's concerning me,
Mm-hmm.
and you touched on it yesterday in voice class, is that I'm becoming more sensitive to the differences around me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm starting to understand why they are the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't see myself being that way, but I understand that they're that way, just as you say, because they couldn't be any other way.
Right. Yeah.
And the things that they seek,
mm-hmm.
And enjoy in their enjoyment body are things that I've already enjoyed some other way, and they don't appeal to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that Brian says is you wouldn't be here
mm-hmm.
unless you were pursuing something that's not being given other places.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why we found you, Roger, is because we're all seeking the same truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's something that, since we're talking religious things, that group, I got this a long time ago, the peace of understanding. You've heard that one? And we didn't understand what that meant, right? What I came to me is like, oh, when I come to understand that people are acting in different ways than me because of what they've done, what they're learning, or whatever they're going through, I start to understand that more. I'm not going to hate them as much. I'm not going to go there. And then I have peace. See, that was the peace of understanding. And then when we do that, then I start to feel better about me. And then I'm more powerful to do something in the world. You know, we've never won anything by fighting. That they gave this. Oh, this was good. This is it. This is perfect. There was earlier in the week, there was a message that says, when you stop yelling, you will win. That's what this was about. See, because we're going to yell at everybody else and make them wrong and stop all of this and all that. No, we're just supposed to come into, we came to heal things in a different way is what I get. We came to make a difference, and we're not going to do that with making everybody wrong and yelling and judgment and all that. And it's hard because I have very strong opinions about a lot of stuff. and I know it's hard, but but then I remember and I come back, I say, okay, this is just awakening me to who I am, but I can't take it too far and say, I hate you. You're just helping me to understand. That's all. That it's just been a shift in that way.
It's interesting you say that, Roger, because when I lost my voice in 2010, riding on a float in a gay pride parade, screaming and shouting at all the protesters along the route. And I was hoarse for almost a year, and then I stumbled upon your YouTube stuff, and I said, well, maybe there's something wrong. And I asked one of my friends, Valerie Day of New Shoes, I said, I've been hoarse. She goes, well, go to an ENT and get checked. There was nothing wrong. It was part of my diet, related. But you said the same things, make sure there isn't anything physical, and then start pursuing, what's really underneath all of this. Right. But you gave me my voice back. I guess the bottom line is you gave me my voice back, and it's much louder now, but I don't need to use my loud voice.
Right. That's what, there's just the thing, we're going to do more things, but see the reason I can say this is because I went back and all the study that I did, it was so bizarre. But to see the conflicts and the challenges that we've had throughout civilization, I never cared about studying this stuff when I was in school. but now it's become so much more interesting because it's explaining a bit of what we're doing now, and we're going to be, okay, there's something else. Sorry. Instead of yelling, oh yeah, talking quietly instead of yelling is a technique to help people listen. Yeah, that is true. That is good. Yes, interesting how we're being drawn together. Yes, that interesting how we're being drawn together. That's the thing you start to see. You start to wonder, how did I end up with these people? How did I end up in these groups, that I find myself in? And it's always to say that you have always been guided, you've always been directed, and you just when it shows up, there you are. That's what starts to happen. This was good. Okay, anything else? I think I've gotten them all. Yes, great. Okay,
I have a new rabbit hole for you, Roger.
Oh, what's that?
He's a Jewish scholar. His name's Dr. Justin Sledge. And he just started a course in the Kabbalah online. And I think I'm going to take it. Just introduction to Kabbalah. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. No. There's, yeah, you should do it. There's, when we start seeing the connectedness that even our religions have to themselves, they're just interpreted in different ways, it really helps. So no, that would be great. There's some really wonderful practices in there. You remember a while back when Madonna was doing it, everybody thought it was so weird, but you'll see, it'll be good. Yeah, that's great. All right, you wonderful people, this was great. Anything else you want to say before we go? But I'll let you know. I've got a bunch of stuff. Yes, Lisa.
Oh, You said at the beginning that when you forecast bad things into the future, you help create them.
Yes.
And it was so timely because just prior to this, I was talking with a friend who believes that we're going downhill. And then she brought up the predictions of Edgar Casey. And all I could think to say was that I was more optimistic. But now I'm going to start thinking of what I can say in the future when this comes up again, because I'm pretty sure it will.
Right, exactly. Oh, I forgot. We were supposed to play the song for you. This is going to, okay. It's so bizarre. Now, this song was written years ago. And then, and when it came up last night, this happens to me all the time because I have to talk about these things to help you know that nothing is happening accidentally in your lives. And so this song was hidden on what I have this weird YouTube channel. I don't look at it because I still might create it, but I had put this one song there. And last night I happened to, I love that. I happened to open it up and there it was. So I'm gonna play it for you now. I think I have it, let's see, I do have it open somewhere. Oh, maybe not, hang on one second, let me see. Oh, here it is. Go back, 1 second. I don't need to share the screen. I think you can hear it, yes? Let's see. Ooh, wait a minute, no, go back. That's not what I wanted, sorry. Okay.
Crusades and heroes from a long time ago, prophets and fools, battles and wars. I know, I've been there. Famines and fires, dragons and beasts, kings can be shaken down to their knees. I know, yes I know, I've been there. And it felt like no tomorrow, like a nightmare with no end. Till I woke one day and finally saw that fear was just an old friend. And it was there to make me better. I don't need to resist. I let it all in to see it again. I am the optimist. And I turn that page once more. Turn that sorrow into gold. Take that pain and plant it deep and watch it grow into love. My mind is racing, my heart is a muck. I wanna fly, but I can't jump. Have you ever been there? The spotlight is on and it's my turn to shine, but the voices inside say you're out of time. So don't try, 'cause you'll never get there. It can feel like it's all up against me, like I'll never ever win. But I know that every hero feels this way before it begins. And it's all there to make me stronger. I don't need to resist. I bet it all in and I see it again. I am the optimist. And I turn that page once more. Turn that sorrow into gold. Take that pain and plant it deep and watch it grow feel like there's no tomorrow, like a nightmare with no end. Till I woke one day and finally saw the fear was just an old friend. Now it was there to make me better. I don't need to resist. I let it all in to see it again. I am the optimist. I turn that page once more. Turn that sorrow into gold. Take that pain and plant it deep and watch it grow into love.
Okay. That is just oh, I'm supposed to get out of there. Let me get out of there. What did I do?
That's Roger at his singer-songwriter peak.
Oh, let me get rid of this. Sorry. It's still. Oops. What did I do with my screen? Is my screen being shared?
Still heavy rotation on SoundCloud.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, there I am. Okay. I gotta tell you, that's just shocking to me. It's just, I mean, because this is all very clear that last night they said, no, this is why you're finding it now. Everything is all directed. I didn't, those words, I mean.
When did you write that, Roger?
That was put up there in 2018. It was put on YouTube. So I don't know if it was a year before that or something, because we'd worked on, I don't remember when it started, 16. Oh, we started in 2016. That's what it was. Yeah.
So it came out of the campaign, really.
I don't know.
Because it shook a lot of things from the 60s, I think. What was going on?
But this song is talking about, I didn't know. You hear in the beginning, kings and all that ancient things. And I didn't know I was going to start looking at any of that. I didn't know I was going to start studying any of it. And now, but it came out in the song. And that's what we're going through now, saying that we have done this before. That's what it, oh. Okay, this is, it surprises me. Yeah, that was good. That was really great.
Well, and it's, they talk, Stan Groff talks about the cut log of the psyche, and that there's layers and layers.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, and at different levels of our awareness and our consciousness, we come across those things, but they're all part of, our fiber.
Yes. Yes.
And
it's just fun to, when you come upon them and see them, go, oh yeah, all of these things. And what they told me before, I have messages, one in there said, you will have glimpses throughout your life that will remind you of why you're here and what you're supposed to do. So,
well, it's funny because when I was in graduate school, I had people that just took really extensive notes and just wrote pages and pages of notes. And I just would, do sketches and things. And I think I still remember a lot more than they did, do, because I was just listening. I wasn't worried about recording it, saving it. I was, in the moment experiencing it. And I think that's part of, what we enjoy learning, because we get better at it as we age.
Yeah. This was great, you guys. Thank you all so much. There will be
Roger.
more. I'll let you know the schedule whenever. Yeah, I'll just see how this all unfolds. But this was terrific. We're going to be good. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Love.
Thank you.
Sing, dance.
Bye.